I'm here with Professor Jacob Frenkel. He is chairman of JPMorgan Chase International and also the former governor of the Bank of Israel. One of the things that we've seen over recent years is really this extraordinary amount of unconventional monetary policy and monetary policy at the zero bound of interest rates. What dangers are associated with years and years of very extraordinary policies?
Well, to begin with, we need to remember that interest rates all over the world went down to close to zero in response to the crisis, where monetary authorities did their best to inject liquidity and to mitigate the recessionary impacts of the crisis.
Right.
The implication, however, is that the main policy instrument of monetary policy, the interest rate, actually has been exhausted.
Well, let me ask you about asset price bubbles, because this is something that has been on many people's minds, not only regulators and central bankers, but also investors and financial professionals. A lot of people think that macroprudential tools are the solution to these asset price bubbles. Is that a fair theory?
Well, macroprudential tools are helpful. They always have been. They were around also when interest rates were at higher levels. And of course, now that interest rates are very low and are not usable in a way, that's the only game in town. But it cannot be a substitute for the normal instruments of monetary policy.
Now, one of the more striking features about the recent 5 or 6 years in global economic history is that the US and Europe have kind of suffered extraordinarily, but Latin America and China have done reasonably well. What explains that?
One way to answer it is to recognize that these two parts of the world, Latin America and Asia, their luck was that they had their crisis before. The big crisis of Asia in '97, the big crises in plural of Latin America have been handled by improving the robustness of the budgetary process, improving the robustness of the financial institutions, so that when this crisis occurred, they were much more ready to address it. Banks had more capital, liquidity was higher, leverage was lower, and budgets were better organized.
All right. Dr. Frenkel, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.